7 out of 10 college students are majoring in debt, and many are defaulting on their loans. It's not only a problem for families, but also for the U.S. economy. What's the solution, and is a college degree worth it anymore? Here's more on that story.
While the overall unemployment rate is getting lower, we cannot say the same for the young adults.
In the early 20s, 11% right now, which is roughly double, right? Almost double the unemployment rate for the general population.
Recent surveys say employers might finally be willing to pay higher salary for the top of class of 2014. But that means they're not compromising on the level of talent. Employers expect more out of all.
It used to be that companies wanted to hire great, intelligent people that they could bring on to the company and have them learn on the job. That's happening less and less.
80% of class of 2014 got more than $10,000 in student loan. They hope their college degrees will allow them to pay off the debt faster, but that is not happening prevalently.
Higher percentages of college-educated people are doing Starbucks jobs, waiters, waitresses, parking lot attendants.
Even so, only 46% of the graduates in the early 20s are working full-time, down from 68% a year ago. Is there anything they can do to get a better job?
I definitely would recommend to all young people to have strong internship experiences. The other thing that I really do suggest is that they try to find a mentor, someone in their industry while they're still in school that can help them guide their way through this maze.
To talk this topic out, we're joined by financial consultant Thomas Lavecchia, along with Helene Naftali. Helene is the author of Own Your Zone, What Students Need to Succeed from School to Career, and the founder of the One True Zone Career Discovery Academy. And via Skype is Dr. Bart Rossi, political psychologist. Hey there, Dr. Bart.
Nice to be with you.
All right, then. Let's talk this out for a second. Now, I know that my friend over here, Dee Dee, is still has some student loan. Just talk to me about the stress level.
Yeah, let me tell you something. If I had known then what I know now, I probably would have gone to a different school, because my school that I went to was very expensive. And with my major, I'm not a doctor or a lawyer, so I could have gotten away with the state school. Plus, I wouldn't have gone with private loans, so I would have gone with more of the federal loans. So yeah, and I didn't say this last time, but I pay $300 a month still.
Wow.
My student loan, because I look, very expensive school, so it takes a lot to pay off.
It sure does. Let's talk about how bad it is. Now, Helene, you've done a lot of research on this. How many kids and what are the debts looking like for kids?
Well, it's affecting about 7 out of 10 kids these days, and the debt is approximately $30,000 per student. We've seen it as high as $100,000 to $150,000.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, mine's between that, but mine's much more than 30 and not as much as 120. So you're right, that's the gamut that it runs.
Now, Tom, you're a business consultant here. We're going to ask you for your business advice right now. What do you tell kids? I mean, how do you start paying this down?
Yeah, it's scary because essentially 40 million students are affected and they can't claim bankruptcy. There's no way around it. And believe it or not, you can actually get inheritance and you can inherit debt. You can't get away from it, even your family. It's scary. So the recommendation is pretty simple. What you need to do at first is really consolidate all your debt, not just your student debt, to make sure things are under control. Number two is one of the biggest kind of scams is, look, have you pay a monthly payment and it only cover the interest and none of the principal. So you're paying every month, stretching yourself, and then you realize, hey, wait a second, I may not be able to pay this down because it only covers the interest and not the actual principal. The third thing is, if you're a little bit older and if you have maybe a house or some assets, you can maybe take a home equity loan or something that has a better interest rate that may be less expensive, and that may be a better way to cover the burden.
And we also want to talk about those interest rates are going to go up. That means the student loans are going to go up too. That happened last week. But let's check in with Dr. Bart Rossi down in sunny Florida. And Dr. Bart, you know, we've talked about debt before, but I can't even imagine trying to sleep at night if I owed $150,000.
I know, and I think that we need a new mindset in terms of how kids need to adjust and take a look at the future. I kind of like what Dee Dee said. I think we ought to take a look at community colleges and have kids take a look at their first 2 years a little differently and decrease their debt. And I've done a lot of interviewing with public safety officials, as you know, and when these folks come through and they've had 2 years of community college and then they've transferred to a local university in their state, they all look very good to me. It's not like they're missing anything by going to the community school. So I think a different way of thinking about how they approach college is needed here.
Well, it brings up another good point, because a lot of those community colleges have seen a spike in enrollment in the last year. Now, that's one solution. And now, Helene, you also have a solution in terms of deep self-exploration for kids. Tell us a little bit about your program.
Okay, so our program is a 10-session program so that students can get to know themselves and what makes them different and special as soon as they possibly can, so they can go to college with a focus, intention, and purpose and make college count.
And I was reading somewhere where college kids right now are spending 5 to 6 years in school. Is that part of like not knowing who you are?
Absolutely. In fact, the statistics, I think, are about 60% of students are graduating in that 5th or 6th year. And one of the big issues is because they go to college somewhat floundering, that they are switching majors sometimes as many as 3 to 5 different times.
I mean, let's be honest, or partying.
Partying.
And if their parents don't make them stay on that schedule, that's going to be a lot more money, a couple more years.
Yeah, well, that could be as much as, well, the 30,000 that you're talking about.
A lot more than that, absolutely.
At 30,000 just for those 2 years. Yeah.
So let's talk about those interest rates for a minute there, Tom. Last week they said, hey, they're going to go up a little bit. So what's that mean for just a loan for students? You know, what are we talking about? An extra $50 a month?
No, actually, it could be much more, because remember, so it might be pegged against the interest rates. Interest rates may be 3 or 4% for a house, but interest rates for students once they graduate could be as high as 11. So it actually inflate proportionally to as high as 14, and they'll never be able to catch up. So realistically, what you need to do is pay it down as quickly as possible. Get a second job. Again, try to find alternative loan source, possibly, you know, because you don't want to default, because what happens is it ruins your credit, and then once it ruins your credit, you're most likely will not be able to get a corporate job. So ironically, you can actually lose your credit by not paying and not find a job, so you can pay them back. And then the second part is you can lose your licensure. So if you're a lawyer, you're a physician, you're an accountant, and you actually default on your loan, they can go off your state licensure. So you're basically screwed. So pay it down as quickly as possible before anything else.
And those interest rates, you know, we've talked about that, those interest rates are going up, but the cost of college has also soared, something like quadrupled in the last 10 years.
Correct.
Helene, I know you, again, work with a lot of, you're kind of the expert in this area, but why have the costs of college gone up so much?
Well, there's so many different reasons that the cost of college have gone up, and one of the big reasons, or the main reasons that research is showing, is that the state funding that existed for so many years since the big recession of '09 has been reduced so significantly that those extra costs are now being piled on to students, to families, and just increasing the debt.
And I actually was reading something else, that the administrative costs, and they're doing things to attract students also. I actually was at a college, I won't name the college, but one of the things that they wanted to do was show me the cafeteria and tell me how the food was so wonderful now, which that never happened. It was always like college, bad food, they go together. Dr. Bart, if you have a student that's got $30,000 in debt, what do you tell them? How do you tell them to go to sleep?
Well, I tell them that to try to get some special skills, even if you have to volunteer and develop some special talent, which will get you a little bit better job or a very good job going forward. You need to make yourself different, and you need to present yourself with some special talent that will get you to the next level. And that's how you have to think today in order to pay off those debts.
Now, Helene, I know you were telling me also, you're shaking your head there, but you know, a lot of the kids are also double majoring, which is also creating more stress for them as well. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes, a lot of the students are double or triple majoring or switching majors. Some of them is that, like I said, 3 to 5 times. That's from the excess pressure that is out there. They're trying to cover themselves, the double or the triple major, so when they get out there, they're hoping that something sticks. And because the job landscape is changing so significantly right now because of everything, the new technology, et cetera, what you're seeing is that there's a growing fear that students and families have that when I get out of college, am I going to get a job? Is the job going to be connected to the field that I studied? And if those jobs are not going to be there anymore, how do I prepare?
So the focus of your program is to have kids get to know themselves before they go to school.
Yes, the focus of our program is to help the kids to know themselves as well as possible and to identify what their one unique gift is. And this is a really important concept I'd just like to mention. It's not your talent, it's not that you're a prodigy violinist. What I'm speaking about is their unique lens in the way they process the world. It's a very helpful thing for every young person to understand what they bring to the table that's different and special about them.
Very important right now. And of course, the national debt, $1.2 trillion.
Hey, I'm paying mine. I didn't blow it up because I realized that if you blow it up, you're in much worse trouble.
Yes.
So I pay.
All right, well, thank you for your insights on this. Great to have you here, Tom and Helene. We're going to change lanes and talk about some of the lighter subjects of the week. The lightning round is next.